The country is now looking to cast a wider net against the Chinese tech companies and mobile applications operating in India. As an extension of last month's ban, the Indian government has now banned 47 apps which were operating as clones of the already removed Chinese apps. For example, even though TikTok had been banned, TikTok Lite continued to be available on app stores. Similarly, while CamScanner was banned, CamScanner Advanced continued to remain active. With a new directive issued on Friday, the government has now banned 47 of these Chinese clones. The reports also indicate that 275 other Chinese apps will be reviewed by the Indian government. If found to be in violation of national security and privacy policies, these apps could meet the same fate as TikTok and UC Browser. The name that stands out in the government's review list is PUBG, which has racked up 175 million downloads in India. That's almost 24% of PUBG's global downloads. Although developed and managed by a South Korean firm, PUBG has recently received the financial backing of Chinese internet giant Tencent. Let's now quickly take you across to a live press briefing of China's foreign ministry. Let's listen.
This is a legitimate and necessary response to what the U.S. did. Next question. CGTN. The U.S. President of the Council on Foreign Relations retweeted remarks by Pompeo criticizing his speech at Nixon Library, saying that Pompeo has misrepresented the history and put forward a policy that is not viable and consistent, which has added insult to injury to the bilateral relations. What's your comment? Mr. Pompeo has been smearing and attacking the CPC and drumming up the contentment of China fabricated the new Cold War rhetoric. This has been strongly condemned and concerned by all the peace-loving and fair-minded people, including the insightful people in the U.S. Mr. Pompeo said that the CPC, as Mr. Pompeo attacked the CPC, but he doesn't understand it. Pompeo smeared that CPC is designated for hegemony, but this is out of ignorance. He doesn't know that the CPC has over 91 million members. The reason is that it puts people's interest first and always share way and woe with the people. Recently, according to a survey by the Kennedy School of Government in Harvard University, the Chinese government enjoys satisfaction and support rate of over 93% among the Chinese people. And the well-known public relations company Altman Group also released a survey saying that the Chinese people has a trust rate of 95% in their government, ranking the first, while the U.S. is only 48%, ranking the last. The CPC's goal is not to replace the U.S., but to achieve the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The U.S. international status depends on itself instead of others. The CPC is aimed to seek welfare for its own people and progress for mankind. China is a practitioner and advocate of the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. It is also the largest contributor of the peacekeeping staff in P5 countries. It plays a positive role in addressing global and regional hotspot issues, including the peninsula and the Iranian nuclear issues. It has contributed to the global world economy exceeding 30% and made important contributions to the global response to Asian financial crisis as well as the 2018 financial crisis. This has been all witnessed by the international community. Pompeo is trying every means to incite an anti-China alliance, but he doesn't know that we have entered the 21st century, and the inciting of hatred and confrontation doesn't go with the times trend. It's unpopular, and Pompeo's remarks are aimed to defend their own hegemony and interest groups standing behind him. But the world's trend for multipolar is irresistible. Half century has passed since President Nixon's visit to China. The half century proof that only by treating each other as equals with mutual respect can we ensure the steady and healthy development of China-U.S. relations. China doesn't intend to change the U.S. and the U.S. cannot alter China. We will develop the bilateral relationship with the U.S. based on coordination, cooperation, and stability, but we will never accept any bullying and injustice. We hope a few politicians in the U.S. to stop smearing the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people, stop issuing erroneous remarks which make obstacles to the exchanges between China and the U.S. We hope all peace-loving countries and the people in the world will stand forward and say no to Mr. Pompeo and his likes crazy acts to undermine world peace. Next question. 您刚才提到，中方目前关闭领馆的行为是必要且合理的，美方无权干涉。
Consulate in Chengdu and in Houston, why Chinese officials had right to enter into the American consulate and American officials had no such right. Thank you.
中方有权进入美国驻成都的领馆，而美方没有权这么做呢？您能否就这一点进一步解释一下？ The U.S. severely violates international law and basic norms of international relations. It is the U.S. that first started political provocation. China surely has the right to react in response to this and uphold our legitimate rights. This is in line with international law and basic norms of international relations. Next question.
Just following last comment you made. So is this right? Because you have to excuse us. I'm trying to understand the situation. It's quite unusual to have consulates closing and this type of thing. But would it be fair for us to say that in our reporting that the only reason Chinese officials went in to the Chengdu consulate is because U.S. officials went into the Houston consulate. In other words, it's not that China is saying that the two are different. You're saying that if you follow my meaning, it's only because the U.S. did it first. If the U.S. had not gone into Houston, Chinese officials would not have gone into the Chengdu building.
中方也不会进入美国驻成都的领馆，是这么回事吗？
刚才说过，中方要求美方关闭。
Like I said,
美国驻成都
China requires the U.S. to close the Consulate General in Chengdu and takes over its premises. This is a necessary and legitimate reaction to U.S. closure and taking over of the Chinese Consulate General in Houston. Next question. According to Russian Foreign Ministry, the Russian side said that China and Russia have become the primary targets of U.S. information warfare, and stronger interactions between the two sides in the media field are more important than ever. What is the specific significance of China-Russia stepping up media interactions? On the night of July 24th, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson and Director General of the Information Department, Hua Chunying, held consultations via video link with her counterpart, Russian counterpart, Maria Zakharova. Now, China and Russia are responsible major countries and comprehensive strategic coordinative partners facing with the threats posed by the ongoing pandemic. Our two departments of information maintain sound work cooperation, institutional consultation, and cooperation. Under the current circumstances, we believe that disinformation is a common enemy of the international community. Countries should strengthen solidarity and coordination, reject disinformation, so that political viruses such as rumors and slanders and the perpetrators and manipulators behind the scene will have no place to hide. When it comes to information release, facts should be respected. Countries should not adopt double standards, interfere in others' foreign internal affairs, or level groundless accusations on political system development paths and state governance based on ideological and political prejudice. The two departments agreed to maintain communication, jointly combat disinformation, offer an accurate account of facts, champion justice and legal principles, and uphold morality and conscience. According to reports, the High Court in Britain, Canada, has reviewed the evidence submitted and filed to the court. The evidence showed that the U.S. side is misleading the Canadian side, and the Meng Wanzhou case has been poisoned without any justice, and the process should be immediately ceased. Do you have any comment? We noted relevant reports. The Canadian government has to provide an explanation for all. We heard that the U.S. is actually preventing the Canadian side from doing so. The relevant evidence provided by the court shows that the Meng Wanzhou case is another grave political incident to oppress China's high-tech companies and the Huawei company by abusing the extradition treaty with Canada. Canada arrested Meng Wanzhou at the unreasonable request of the U.S. side, leading to the difficulty in China-Canada relations. And Canada acted as the cat's paw for the U.S. Actually, it has been taken advantage by the U.S. And I have to point out, this is not only China's viewpoint, but also a view shared by the international community and insightful people in Canada and the U.S. I shall say the longer the Meng Wanzhou incident drags on, the greater harm it will bring to China-Canada relations. We hope Canada can clearly see the political intention of the U.S. side and make a decision based on its own interests and the merits of the matter itself. Properly and immediately solve the Meng Wanzhou case to remove the obstacles in China-Canada relations so as to bring our bilateral relations back to the right track. 法新社追问 BBC 的问题，您能否确认澄清一下？中方进入成都领馆的可是合法行为的原因，是因为是美方首先进入中国驻休斯顿总领馆的。I would like to reiterate that the U.S. severely violates international law and basic norms of international relations. It is the first to make political provocation. China has the right to make reciprocal countermeasure and uphold its legitimate rights and interests. Next question. With CCTV, senior officials of the U.S. Department of Justice says that the Chinese Consulate General in the U.S., the Houston, has long been engaging in spying and other illegal activities. And the closure of the Consulate General is a deterrence. Do you have any comment? The relevant remarks by the U.S. side are totally baseless smears. China's Consulate General in Houston was the first consulate opened in the U.S. by China after the establishment of diplomatic relations. For 41 years, it has been promoting mutual understanding, communication, cooperation, and friendship between China and the U.S. It has received wide acclaims from southern United States. Local media reported that China is the second largest trading partner of the Houston region, and the region benefited a lot from this Consulate General. And this consulate served as a bridge of tourism, trade, and cultural exchange. Local American officials also expressed astonishment on the closure. They hope to see peaceful settlement and reopening of the Consulate General. Considering the sad facts, the U.S. claims are just groundless and fable. If the U.S. wants to blame anyone, it will always find excuses to justify its acts. As I believe you have all seen, out of motives to contain China and seek selfish gains, a few U.S. politicians have been fabricating rumors and escalating provocations against China. Their measures include wanton restrictions on Chinese media agencies and personnel in the U.S., expulsion of many Chinese journalists, oppression against Chinese companies under the pretext of national security, and blatant slanders against the CPC and China's political system, unwarranted interrogation, harassment, and even detainment of Chinese students and scholars in the U.S. It is obvious that those anti-China politicians are attempting to disrupt China-U.S. relations and turn back the wheel of history. This has been criticized by a growing number of people with a fair mind. On July 25th, experts and scholars from 48 countries held a conference and issued a joint statement saying, "We note the increasingly aggressive statements and actions being taken by the U.S. government in regard to China. They are a threat to world peace. We believe that any new Cold War would run in counter to the interests of humanity. We support the U.S. and China basing relations on mutual dialogue and countering on the common issues which unite humanity.